I'm Nicole Pitt, 29, and the first time I heard my own sister call me a pushover, I was standing 3 feet away holding a stack of printed boarding passes with my name on the credit card behind every single one. "She's basically begging to be used," Ava said, laughing into her wine glass like it was the funniest thing she'd heard all week. I didn't move, didn't breathe different, just stood in that hallway in my parents' house in Round Rock, Texas, listening to my own family talk about me like I wasn't 20 feet away in the kitchen they didn't know I'd already walked into. Let me back up. 2 weeks before that, Ava dropped the idea at Sunday dinner like it was already decided. We should do a family trip, been forever since we did anything together. Mom sighed the way she does when she wants something to sound like a moral obligation instead of a request. Dad nodded and said nothing, which is his whole personality, and my brother, Lucas Lee, 19, still living at home, said he'd never been anywhere that wasn't a 3-hour drive, like that was my problem to fix. Nobody looked at me when they said it, but everybody knew who was paying. I want to be clear, I'm not rich. I work a 9 to 5 doing claims processing and freelance graphic design on the side just to keep my own head above water. But I'm the one who always says yes, the one who's been quietly covering rent gaps, car repairs, emergency credit card swipes for 4 years running. So when Ava said family trip, what she meant was Nicole trip, and everybody just let that hang in the air like it was fate. I told myself I wouldn't do it this time. I really did. Then Mom started texting me pictures, some cabin rental up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, mountains, a hot tub, string lights on a porch. Wouldn't this be perfect for all of us? Ava sent a full itinerary 2 days later, like she'd already assumed the answer. Lucas texted, "Bro, I've literally never seen mountains," like his excitement was supposed to guilt my wallet open. And it worked. It always works. 4 days later, I'd booked the whole thing. Cabin, rental SUV, a dinner reservation at some steakhouse everybody wanted to try, gas money set aside for the group. The works. Almost $1,100 out of my account in one sitting. Nobody asked if I could afford it. Nobody asked if I wanted to. They just assumed, the way you assume the sun's going to come up. I told myself, maybe this time they'll actually say thank you and mean it. 2 days before we were supposed to leave, I drove over with the printed confirmation papers, because Mom doesn't trust anything that isn't on paper. I let myself in. I never had to knock at that house, 29 years old, and I still didn't knock. And that's when I heard it. "She's basically begging to be used," Ava said again, like it was a punchline she was proud of. "She's got nobody else going on," Lucas added, laughing. "Paying for us is basically her whole personality." And then my mother's voice, soft as sugar going bad. "Let her. It makes her feel important." I stood in that hallway holding boarding confirmations with my name on every reservation, and something in my chest just clicked shut. Not broke, clicked shut like a lock finally finding the right key. I stepped into the living room. They looked up at me the way you look up when you get caught, except none of them looked sorry. Ava recovered fastest. "Don't worry about packing," she said, cold and bright at the same time. "It's kind of a family thing." Mom smiled like she was doing me a favor. "You'll understand one day." I smiled back. I sat down. I asked Lucas if he was excited. I reminded them to bring layers for the mountain nights. I did all of it with a steady voice that none of them noticed was too steady, because none of them have ever in 29 years actually looked at me long enough to notice anything. That night, sitting alone in my apartment with the confirmation emails still open on my laptop, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just started clicking. Cancel reservation. Cancel reservation. Cancel reservation. 25% of the deposit gone just like that, into some corporate void that didn't care either way. Then I opened my banking app and removed every single one of them from the shared emergency card they'd been quietly leaning on for years. One tap, done. No fireworks, no dramatic phone call, just quiet, the kind of quiet that only shows up after you finally stop being afraid of your own family. The next morning, I helped them pack anyway, smiled, labeled Lupus's duffel bag, told Mom to send pictures from the mountain, drove all 4 of them to the airport myself, waved them off like the good daughter I'd apparently been trained since birth to be. They had no idea what was waiting for them when they landed. If you were me, standing in that hallway, hearing your own family talk about you like that, would you have canceled everything too, or held on to the trip just to prove them wrong? The flight landed at 11:40 a.m. I know because I was the one who'd booked it, back when I still thought showing up for people meant something. I turned my phone off around noon and drove to the farmer's market a few blocks from my apartment in Round Rock, like it was any regular Saturday. Bought a bag of peaches, talked to the guy who sells honey about nothing in particular. For the first time in longer than I could remember, nobody needed anything from me. It didn't last. When I turned my phone back on around 1, it lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. 11 missed calls. Mom, 5 times. Ava, 4. Lucas, twice. No voicemail from Dad. He never leaves those. He saves his silence for in person. I sat in my car in the parking lot and listened to them one at a time, slow, like pulling a bandage off just to see how bad the wound really was. Mom first, voice tight and confused. "Nicole, honey, the cabin people are saying there's no reservation under our name. Did something happen with the payment? Call me back." Then Ava, and this one had teeth in it. "The lady at the front desk is looking at us like we're scamming her. This is humiliating. Fix this. Call me back right now." Then Lucas, sounding younger than 19. "Sis, they're saying the SUV rental got canceled too. We're stuck at the airport. What's going on?" I sat there a long minute, then I called the honey guy back over and bought a second jar I didn't need just to have something ordinary to do with my hands. By 2 o'clock, the texts started stacking up in a different tone, not confused anymore, accusing. "Did you seriously cancel everything? Answer me. You're being so petty right now, Nicole. Why would you do this to us?" No question mark on that last one, just a flat, cold little accusation dressed up as a question, which is honestly the most honest thing my mother's ever texted me. I typed back 3 words, "Book it yourselves." Then I turned the phone face down on my kitchen counter and made dinner. Grilled chicken, rice, the peaches from the market for dessert. I sat at my own table, in my own apartment, and ate a meal nobody else had a claim on. It tasted different. I didn't have words for it yet, but it tasted like something I hadn't had in years. Around 8, my phone buzzed again, and I almost didn't look. But it wasn't a family number. It was my friend Journey Huffman, who works front desk at a hotel chain 2 towns over. "Girl, random question, does your family have a trip in Gatlinburg right now? My cousin works at the Highland Ridge cabins up there, and she said a family matching your last name got turned away today, and the mom was crying at the counter. Is that your family?" I stared at that message for a long time. Word travels. It always does. Even 400 miles away, in a town I'd never been to, some stranger's cousin was watching my family unravel in real time, and somehow it had already found its way back to me before my own mother could manage a real apology. I typed back to Journey, "Yeah, that's them. Long story." She sent back a single question mark, and I didn't answer it. Some things you don't explain in a text thread, some things you barely have words for yourself. By 9, the calls turned into voicemails again, longer ones this time, angrier. Ava's voice cracked halfway through hers, not sadness, just fury with nowhere left to go. We had to beg the front desk for a single room. One room, Nicole. 4 of us. Do you understand how insane that is? You need to fix this. I didn't call back. Around 10, right as I was about to put my phone on the charger for the night, one more message came through. Not from family, not from Journey. A message request. A name I hadn't seen in almost 2 years popped up on my screen, sitting there like a landmine somebody forgot to mark. Rain Jones, my cousin, the one who never talks to me directly unless something's wrong, and definitely never texts first. Hey, it said, random, but your sister just called my mom crying, asking if we could wire them money for a hotel tonight. Wanted you to know before it goes further than that. You good? I sat there staring at the screen, peaches half-eaten in front of me, and realized this wasn't just about a canceled cabin anymore. They were already working the phones, already building the story before I had even a chance to tell mine. And I hadn't even gotten to the part where I closed the shared card for good. By Sunday morning, the group chat had turned into a courtroom, and apparently I was on trial in absentia. I made coffee, I let the plant on my windowsill get some sun, then I sat down at my kitchen table like I was about to watch a movie, and I opened my phone. Ava, you're actually enjoying this, aren't you? Ava, sociopathic behavior, TBH. Mom, we are your family, Nicole. I typed back, funny, y'all remembered that word today. Didn't hear it in the hallway 2 days ago. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Ava, that's not the same thing. Me, it's exactly the same thing. You just didn't think I was listening. Lucas tried a different angle, softer, the way 19-year-olds do when they still think charm works on people who raised them. Lucas, sis, come on, you know I didn't mean it like that. Me, which part? She's got nobody else, or paying for us as her whole personality? Pick one, I'll wait. He didn't answer that one. Smart move, honestly. First smart move any of them had made in 4 days. Mom switched tactics next, going for the guilt trip she's been running since I was in middle school. We raised you better than this. I looked at that text for a solid minute before I typed back, no, y'all raised me to stay quiet. I raised myself to stop. Nothing for almost 20 minutes after that. I actually got up, rinsed my mug, watered the plant a second time, even though it didn't need it, just to give my hands something to do besides shake. Then Ava came back swinging, and this time she brought her A material. We're stuck in one hotel room, 4 of us, because you had a tantrum. A tantrum is when a kid cries because they didn't get a toy. This is what accountability looks like. Different word. Look it up while you're stuck in that room together. Bonding opportunity. Wow, you think you're funny. I think I'm accurate. Funny's just a bonus. Mom tried to loop Dad in, sending a screenshot of our whole exchange to the family chat like she was building a case file against my behavior. Dad, predictably, said nothing. Man's never left a voicemail or fought a battle in his life, but he'll forward evidence like he's building toward a TED Talk on my behavior someday. Around noon, Lucas broke formation and texted me solo, no witnesses. Not gonna lie, this is kind of insane, but also kind of iconic. Glad somebody in that room still has a sense of humor. Don't tell your sister I said that. She'd kill me. She'd try to get you to pay for the funeral though, so watch yourself. He sent back a laughing emoji before quickly texting, delete this. And I did, actually, because unlike some people in my family, I don't hold receipts against a 19-year-old for having half a personality. By 2 o'clock, the tone shifted again. Ava must have realized insults weren't working, so she pivoted to bargaining, which honestly is always where these things end up if you just wait them out. Okay, fine, we're sorry. Can you just help us get a flight home at least? Y'all have jobs, y'all have bank apps. I believe in you. This isn't funny anymore, Nicole. Wasn't trying to be funny anymore either. Then Mom sent one more message, and this one actually made me put the phone down for a second, because it wasn't angry, it was something worse. It was disappointed, the kind of disappointed that's designed to make you feel 8 years old again, no matter how old you actually are. I hope this was worth it. I picked the phone back up and typed slower this time. It's not about worth it, it's about done. There's a difference, and I only just learned it myself, so I get why you're confused. I didn't send anything after that. Let it sit. Let them stew in a room the size of a walk-in closet. 4 adults and 1 teenager who'd never once, not one single time, considered what it might cost someone to always be the one who says yes. Around 6 that evening, my phone rang, an actual call this time, not a text. None known number, local area code, not one I recognized. I almost didn't answer. I picked up anyway, mostly out of curiosity, and a woman's voice on the other end said, "Hi, is this Nicole Pitt? I'm calling from Highland Ridge Cabin Rentals. I have your family's original booking pulled up, and there's something about the account history I think you'll want to see before this goes any further." I sat up straight in my chair. That wasn't a call I was expecting, and from the tone in her voice, it wasn't good news for the people currently crammed into one hotel room 400 miles away. It was good news for me.
"There's something about the account history I think you'll want to see," the woman said again, and I could hear her clicking through something on her end. "This booking wasn't just canceled by you. Someone tried to rebook it under a different name about 2 hours after the cancellation went through, using your card number." I went still. "I'm sorry, what?" "Somebody tried to use the card on file to book a different cabin, smaller unit, same weekend. It got flagged because the name on the new reservation didn't match the card holder. We denied it, but I wanted to give you a heads up since it's your account this is attached to." I asked her the name on the attempted booking. "Ava Dixon," she said. I sat there in my kitchen holding the phone, and something in me went cold in a way it hadn't the whole 4 days this thing had been unfolding. Canceling the trip, that was me setting a boundary. This was my sister trying to use my card without asking, after I'd already told her no, after she'd already stood in a hotel lobby calling me sociopathic in the group chat. I thanked the woman, hung up, and sat there a long minute just breathing. Then I opened my banking app. Sure enough, a declined charge attempt, time-stamped 2 days ago, same day they landed, Ava's name typed into a reservation field like she genuinely thought I wouldn't notice, or worse, didn't care if I noticed. I took a screenshot. I didn't say anything to the group chat yet. I just sat with it. Around 7, Mom called. Actual phone call this time, not a text. I let it ring twice before I picked up, mostly so she wouldn't think I'd been sitting there waiting on her. "Nicole," she said, voice doing that wounded mother wobble she's had perfected since I was 12. "We need to talk about how you're handling this." "Funny," I said. "I was about to say the same thing to you, about how Ava's been handling my card." Silence on the line. Actual silence, the good kind, the kind where you can practically hear somebody's stomach drop through the floor. "What are you talking about?" Mom said, but her voice had lost its wobble. Now it just sounded careful. "Ava tried to book a different cabin using my card number, after I'd already canceled everything, after I already said no." I let that sit there for a second. "So which part of this are we supposed to talk about, Mom? My boundaries or my sister trying to commit fraud from a hotel room?" "That's a strong word," Mom said quickly. "I'm sure she probably had the number saved from before. She wasn't thinking." "She wasn't thinking," I repeated. "Right, because that's always the excuse. Ava wasn't thinking when she called me a pushover either, huh? Y'all run out of new material, or is it just the one line on repeat?" Mom didn't have anything for that. I almost felt bad for her. Almost.
I'll send you proof, screenshot, timestamp, all of it. And just so we're clear, the card's already closed, has been since Friday night, so whatever Ava was hoping for, it wasn't happening anyway. You're really going to hold this over her, Mom said, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I'm not holding anything over anybody. I'm just done being the family ATM that occasionally gets opinions about how it's treated. That's it. That's the whole thing. She hung up on me. First time in 29 years my mother has ever hung up on me instead of the other way around, and honestly, it felt like a strange kind of promotion. I sent the screenshot to the group chat 5 minutes later with no caption, just the image. Let it sit there and speak for itself. Ava's response came fast. Ava, it's not what it looks like. Me, it's exactly what it looks like. I've got a customer service rep who will confirm the timestamp if you want a second opinion. Ava, I panicked, okay? We had nowhere to stay. Me, you had a hotel room, small, sure, but nowhere to stay and somewhere I don't love are two very different sentences, Ava. Try again. Nothing after that. No more texts, no more calls. Just quiet, the real kind this time, the kind that comes after somebody finally understands they've been caught instead of wronged. Lucas texted me alone again around 9, quieter this time, no jokes in it. Lucas, did she really try to use your card? Me, yep. Lucas, that's messed up. Me, yeah, it is. Lucas, I didn't know about that part. Me, I believe you. You're the only one in that house who still says things like that and means it. He didn't respond right away, and I didn't push it. Some people need time to sit with a thing before they know what they think about it, and Lucas, whatever else he is, has never once tried to lie to my face. 2 days later, they flew home. I know because Mom texted the whole family chat, no acknowledgement of anything, just, we're home safe. No apology, no mention of Ava's card attempt, like the whole thing had just been weather, something that happened and passed and didn't require anybody to actually own it. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back 4 words, sent them, and didn't wait for a reply. We need to talk, in person, Sunday. I didn't know exactly what I was going to say when I got there, but I knew for the first time in my whole life I wasn't walking into that house to apologize for anything. I drove to my parents' house Sunday afternoon with nothing in my hands. No printed itineraries, no adapters, no gift, no peace offering. Just me. They were already in the living room when I walked in, and for once, nobody looked surprised to see me standing there. Mom in her usual spot on the recliner, Dad upright on the couch, hands folded like he was rehearsing patience, Ava in the armchair, arms crossed, jaw set like she'd been practicing her opening statement in the mirror. Lucas sat on the floor near the TV, not saying much, which for him was basically a form of protest. Nobody offered me a seat. I didn't ask for one. So, Ava started, before I'd even gotten my jacket off, are we finally going to talk like adults? We can try, I said. You go first. Tell me about the card. Her arms tightened across her chest. I already said I panicked. I panicked into a hotel booking website and typed your own name into a payment field that wasn't yours, I said. That's a specific kind of panic, Ava. Real focused, real precise. Mom jumped in fast, the way she always does when Ava's cornered. Can we not do this the second you walk in the door? I didn't start it the second I walked in. Y'all started it in a hallway 2 weeks ago, remember? I just happened to be standing there for the opening scene. Dad cleared his throat. Nicole, we asked you here to fix things, not to relitigate. I almost laughed. Fix things. That's a funny way to phrase asking someone to forget they got humiliated in their own family's living room. Nobody said anything for a second. The clock on the wall ticked. Somewhere in the kitchen, the fridge hummed like it was the only honest thing in the house. You embarrassed us, Ava said, finally, going for the wound she thought would land the deepest. Do you know what it's like being stuck in one motel room with 4 people because my sister decided to throw a fit? I do know, actually, since I'm the one who paid for the room you were supposed to have instead. Funny how that works. You get the consequence, I still footed half the bill on the front end. That's not the point. It's exactly the point, I said. You want me to feel bad for what happened after I said no. I don't. I feel bad it took me this long to say it in the first place. Mom's voice went soft, the practiced kind. We raised you to be generous, Nicole, not this. You raised me to be quiet, I told you. That already. I'm just done being confused about the difference now. Lucas spoke up from the floor, quieter than the rest of them, almost like he didn't want to be heard by everyone at once. For what it's worth, I don't think you did anything wrong. Ava shot him a look. He didn't take it back. Thanks, Lucas. And I meant it. He was 19, and he still had more spine in that one sentence than the rest of the room combined. I looked around at all of them. Mom twisting her ring like she always does when she's uncomfortable, Dad staring at his hands like the answer was written on his palms, Ava still coiled tight in that armchair, ready to strike again the second I gave her an opening. Here's what's actually happening. I'm not paying for group trips anymore. Not hotels, not flights, not dinners where everybody orders the most expensive thing on the menu because they know I'm covering it. That's done. If y'all want to go somewhere together, you can book it together, split it evenly, and figure out for yourselves what it costs to actually be a family instead of just calling yourselves one. So that's it? Ava said. You're just going to punish everyone because you got your feelings hurt? I'm not punishing anybody. I'm just not funding anybody either. There's a difference, and you'll have plenty of time to think about it since apparently nobody in this house can afford Gatlinburg without me. That landed. I watched it land. Ava's mouth opened and then closed again because there wasn't really a comeback for that one, not one that made her look exactly like what she was. Mom tried one more angle, soft and wounded. We're still your family, Nicole. Yeah, I said. You are. Doesn't mean I owe you my whole paycheck to prove it. I picked my jacket back up on the arm of the couch, and nobody stopped me. Nobody said wait. Nobody said we're sorry. Not really. Not the kind that means anything. Just Dad, standing up like he wanted to say something and then not managing to get it out. Same as always. At the door, I paused and looked back at all of them one more time. This room I grew up performing in, always the responsible one, always the one who said yes so everybody else could stay comfortable. For what it's worth, I said, I don't hate any of you. I just stopped being available. Those aren't the same thing either. I walked out to my car, and nobody followed me down the driveway this time. I sat behind the wheel for a minute before starting the engine, and I didn't feel triumphant exactly, didn't feel like I'd won anything. It was quieter than that, just steady, like something that had been leaning on me my whole life had finally been set down somewhere else, and my shoulders didn't know how to stand up straight without the weight. I started the car and drove home, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, nobody was waiting on me to fix anything. That was enough.